Hi, I'm Denise Dryden, and I'm here with Ashley Fronheiser. And then we just brought in Shelli Brooks, who is our expert Gen Xer, because as you know in this series, I'm on the baby boom side. Ashley's at the high end of the millennials or the zennials, and we actually have a real live Gen Xer here. Go Shelli. And we're gonna call this session or this episode what happens when we have Gen X experts and we have these divine callings? Like, what happens when we know we've been yanked up and brought to where we want to be? And we're going to explore this. So, Ashley, you want to start because you're the one who brought this topic in, and Shelli, and then we'll just kind of do a free for all. How it goes.
So exciting. Thank you so much, Shelli. I'm so glad that you're here. I've been so excited to have you be our Gen expert because Shelli is born in 1972 and Shelli was born right, and she's a Sagittarius. And from the last episode we did, we talked about Neptune being in Sagittarius right at in 1970.
I have the date somewhere too. Exactly.
1970. So right when the shift between when because Neptune is a generational planet, as is Pluto, and these two planets are really the ones that we kind of have been defining the generations as. So the smack dab right in the middle of Gen X was born a one Ms. Wise, amazing Shelli Brooks, who was also a Sagittarius sun. So, and her Neptune is, and her and her Neptune, no, her Pluto is also in.
Neptune's in Sag.
Her Neptune is in Sagittarius.
Pluto's in Libra.
And your Pluto is in Libra. So you and you're at the right at the beginning of Pluto and Libra. I'm at right at the end of the Pluto and Libra. I also wanted to say that I am alive today because of Shelli Brooks and Denise Dryden. So I have the two people that have saved my life in the last 3.5 years, basically almost, because of these two women. This is really exciting for me. And I'm going to make it about me for a second and all the excitement that this brings me. So divine calling and Gen X being this amazing group collective of human beings that has brought all of this stuff to the surface. And then in this particular day, November 3rd, 2022, things are weird. And I really feel like the world needs some tips, not just about the pop culture, not just about the other stuff, not just about the way things, the stories and stuff, which we can always get into, which we will get into, which is the fun stuff. But also, like, we need that generation to really be kind of listened to a lot right now, because when people are really struggling, having a hard time with the world at large, going out and being like, what's going on? We really need the wisdom and that kind of that bluntness, that assertion, that let me tell you how it is kind of thing. And here's what needs to happen, and actually do it. Because one thing I've kind of come to understand too is that Gen X is not just the talk, but they do a little bit of but they walk it. We have the boomers who are a lot of talk, the millennials who are a lot of tech, and then but we need the doing. We need the like the start to finish, and the start to finish. And Gen X does a lot of start to finish. They're like on the target. They hit the mark. Yes. And those that might hit them. Go ahead, Shelli.
Gen X. I mean, I think the first instinct, my first very reductive instinct, is to say that Gen X is the generation, like the motto would be, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I'm not doing that. We're not doing that. Nope, that's not what we're going to do. But what we really are is, here's what we're going to do. Here's what's going to happen.
A little bit at the front. We're not going to do it, but then it's like,
we're not doing that. Here's what we're going to do. My friend Jason, we're on a constant text chain, constant dialogue between, I think there's like 5 of us, and every once in a while someone will be like, yeah, oh, I can't, this is happening, and then I'll like and then he'll go, and this has been another episode of Here's What You're Gonna Do with Shelli. Here's what you're gonna do.
Much like Neptune, when it went into Sagittarius, was from last week. Here's what you're going to do. That's stupid. Stop doing that because it's dumb and doesn't work and it's broken. So here's what we're going to do instead. Bye, moving on to the next thing, and really actually taking that fire and moving it around and getting things going, you know? So one thing that I think is really interesting is what kind of advice, not advice, but maybe suggestion for people like that are spinning out, because people are spinning out constantly. What kind of things would be really helpful for, let's say, people who are feeling really directionless right now and feel like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? What are you supposed to do when you feel like you don't know what to do? From your perspective, you know, bringing in this Gen X is.
Well, first of all, if you are really supposed to be doing something that is vital to your existence, you will have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
There, you won't think about it. You won't be like, should I don't know, let me call someone. Something that is vital to your existence, something that is truly your calling, you will have to do it. And then later you'll look back and go, I can't believe I did that. That is crazy when I said that out loud.
It bursts out of you. It kind of grows out of you like some sort of superhero. Like, I keep thinking of the Hulk. I think I'm doing this, and all of a sudden this green creature bursts out of you, and you're like,
right.
This is who I actually
am.
I have to do this.
Right.
Yeah. So for you, what would be one thing that you would kind of exemplify that calling? Where did that ever show up in your life?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Hurricane Katrina happened, and I'm sitting at my house. At the time, we lived in West Virginia, and I saw a picture. Of a pit bull swimming, and you know, my friends and I that I met during Katrina, we've called it like the pit bull that launched 1,000 rescuers. Right? We saw this picture and these eyes of this dog that was just so panicked, and it was like, okay, I'm going now. Where am I going? Let me get on this message board. Oh, these people here at this address in Mississippi, this person posted something on this message board and said they needed help. And just this group of people from all over North America, all ages, mostly women, mostly Italian women, because we can't see anything hungry. Like, we discussed it. Like, I can't stand to think of anything being hungry. Mostly Italian women showed up and were like, who am I feeding? Something is hungry. Like these, and it was like, if today someone was like, hey, do you want to drive to a random field in Mississippi and build a shelter and get in a car with people you don't know and drive into a flooded New Orleans and just drive around randomly with no street signs, not knowing where you're. I mean, Jonna later said to me, I thought for sure you weren't coming back that day. Like, I thought for sure you were dead because you got in a car with these people. And I thought, well, there that lady goes. We'll never see her again. Right.
And that,
yeah, when you do that, it's like that calling comes out. I'm with new people. I'm finding skills I didn't have. My intuition, my deep memories are coming up to the surface and guiding me. And it's almost like the rest of your life falls away.
Your life falls away. You're exactly right. It was when you were in it, you could not see your way out of it, all the way in it. And so for years, I would go, you know, this developed into a shelter. For years, I would go and spend a month, 2 months at a time. I would get down there and be like, I can't come back. Like, because this is happening or that is happening. And we ended up moving because I was like, I can't stop coming here because there are dogs that are here long term. And for many, many reasons, they can't be adopted out, or I can't trust myself to let them go somewhere. And so we just need to move to a place where I can take my toys and go in, because
all of your toys,
or I bring it to me. I took my toys and I went home because I had to bring it into my life because my life was becoming that. And when I was doing animal rescue in Georgia, I started my own rescue. And it was all day, every day, cleaning. Every Saturday I would load up, go and do adoptions. It was completely immersive. So you're right. When we do it, we're all the way in it.
Kind of like a child playing something that they really love. before we started, I pulled from my Little Prince major arcana, and the one that was to represent this call, for this particular episode is the magician. But this is my Little Prince one, because I got the thing, and it says all grown-ups were once children, but only a few of them remember it. And what you're saying right now is really embodying in a lot of ways that originality, the creativity, the skill, the willpower, the self-confidence, the dexterity, and the sleight of hand of this particular, archetype that was represented here. Everything you said, that just mirrors that, this generation being able to do everything that you just said. You had no fucking clue what you were doing. You had a MapQuest map. You had a printout map, and you loaded your car up, and you told your husband, I'm going to New Orleans. And he's like, okay, bye. Like,
right?
Yeah.
I
okay.
have to go. Yeah, it was and and I spent a lot of time in my life searching, right? Looking for okay, I used to take a class.
You're getting them by the cues here.
It's so
I
good.
used to take an acting class in Hollywood, and like literally in Hollywood. And at the beginning of every class, we would, do these exercises, and the teacher would say, what do you want? What do you want next? To everyone, what do you want next? And my answer was always to be content. So what that was is I was trying to say, I need to find what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Right. That was a searching. I need.
So far, nothing's shown up that's caught my attention. I could do this for a little while, but that's not it. Nope.
Right.
Nope.
That's not it. Nope, this isn't it either. Well, this is nice, but this definitely isn't it either. Right.
It doesn't matter about position, money, anything. It's kind of like, yeah, it's a great job. It pays really well. Nope.
I got a job with KPMG Pete Marwick when I was still in college, which at that time there were 6 big accounting firms. Got the job, and and it was one of those, well, you have to take the job, you have to do that. And even in college, it was like, well, you have to be an accounting major because you're really good at it. And you got this really good job, so you have to do that job because you got this job. And I was, I think, a senior on the audit for Los Angeles County. And I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't like it. I'm wasting my life. I mean, all of 24 years old. I'm wasting my life.
No.
Wasting my life.
I'm going to die in this job. I'm
going to die. You know what I said to them? I went to them. I said, this job is making me sick. And they're like, what do you mean? I go, no, it's like making my stomach hurts. I'm unhappy. It's making me sick. And as a matter of fact, I think it was. I think that was a very good call on my part, because 2 years later, they found, I had my appendix out, and they found a cancerous tumor, a little cross section of a cancerous tumor when they looked at my appendix, and I ended up having to have surgery. And I remember when I quit, they were like, what are you talking about? It's making you sick. And I was like, no, I can feel it. This isn't right. This isn't the right fit. So then I went to theater school because I remembered that had brought me joy. And then I was like, yeah, this is nice. Oh my God, I hate this improv class. But I like this teacher, and I'm learning a lot more than acting from this teacher. So I'll keep taking from her. And then, you know what? Maybe I want to be a teacher. I love that. And I actually really love teaching. So then I was a substitute teacher. And then someone was like, you know what? You're really fun. So I'm opening up a spa. So will you work at the front desk at the spa? And then I worked at the front desk at the spa. And I was like, I don't like that either. This is terrible. And she was like, well, can you keep helping me with the business? So then I would like scoot in and just help her, like not have to work at the front desk. And then eventually we ended up moving. But at that time, and I would just wanted, ask Robin, I just, every week, I just want to be content.
And Robin is someone you're still
for this one.
Yeah, and I'm still around her. She was my teacher.
Yeah.
And so then we moved, and when we moved, that's when I started doing animal rescue. But because I had to, I was in South Georgia, and I'm seeing not, culture shock, not caring for animals. And then when I went to the shelter and said, I can help you, they were like, we don't do that here. And I was like, well, here's what you're going to do. You are
There
going
you
to
go.
do that here from now on. And, the director of public safety was like, honey, no one cares about that around here. And I was like, guess what? They're gonna care.
And
They're
they did.
And
And
they did. And
they
they did end
did.
up clearing. Now there is a functioning rescue still there. When I moved there, there was an 80% euthanasia rate. They only kept half of the shelter full because it was too hard. The director of public safety hired this guy who was the animal control officer, like literally straight out of prison. That particular man had 28 pit bulls chained up outside of his house. And so, he ended up doing some really heinous things because, man, he did not want anyone interfering or changing. And I couldn't understand it. I was like, why don't you want help?
Mm-hmm.
Why
Right.
don't you want to take care of these? Like, why don't you want help? And so I basically was like, well, guess what? I pulled animals from the shelter. I started a website. I went and did in-person adoptions. The pet store in that little town wouldn't even do adoptions. I had to drive them to Savannah for adoptions. And so I fell into it.
You were just following, you were following that calling that
Mhm.
it sounds like this multi-dimensional calling and like showing up in these ways, manifesting through the human form in these ways, like really all that energy over here now, over here now, over here now. And not, it doesn't sound like, and this is a really good example you're giving, it's not like being that, oh, fuck this, I don't want to do this anymore, I just doesn't feel right to me. No, you were like, I have to stop because I feel like I'm going to die. And it doesn't sound like loose ends were there. It sounds like things were tied up everywhere and you just moved on start to finish.
Right.
Start to finish. And I feel like generationally that's underappreciated, because that stuff that was really painful, because of that energy to start to finish, people wouldn't necessarily leave until it was finished, and it would elongate some things, I think, for that generation. And I think that sense of responsibility, if I tend to it, I have responsibility for it, and I have tamed it, and now I have created a tie, and when I've created a tie, I'm going to have to see it through, and no matter what stake it pains me. And so the second card that I have is the Empress that was pulled, that was about what influence is. And I was thinking more that it was going to be about Venus, but what I'm really hearing is, what makes the desert beautiful, said the little prince, is that somewhere it hides a well. That's what it is. It's like almost like, okay, so I'm here, I'm driving across the country, I don't know where the fuck I'm going with my map quest in my hand, going like this. I'm terrified, I'm anxious, I don't have any friends down here. There's a well there. That's what makes this beautiful.
Yeah.
Because if I look up, all I see is vastness and fear. But like, and this was a lot of people were doing stuff like what you were.
So many. And I, people will say like, oh, you saved so many lives. And no, those pit bulls saved my life. The pit bulls people say, oh, they, those dogs you brought home, and I ended up having certain dogs for 10 years that were a lot of time and energy and an investment. And I said, no, but they saved my life. Yeah. They saved my life because I was like, this is worthwhile. And this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And this is where I belong. This is what
I'm supposed to be doing, because and I'm gonna parlay the indigo in, which is, when we come in with this warrior energy and we don't know where the wells are, we don't know that there's anything that's going to feed us. But what we do know is we keep coming across people, places, and institutions who are saying, we're not going to do that. You're not welcome here. You can't bring that up. You are not able to influence change here. And then it's sort of like what happens is these beautiful indigos embedded in the Gen X go like, oh, you said the wrong thing. Right. And then it's just like, they dismantle, they break the leadership, they break the policy, they compete and go over and do something different, because it's almost like the well, it happens when somebody says, no, that's not okay, you can't do that.
Well,
and then the power comes up.
Economically, our generation is the most entrepreneurial generation in history. it was like, well, I don't want to sit in that cubicle. I don't want to do it that way. I don't want to only have 6 days off a year. I want, you know what I mean? And it was like, well, guess what? If I'm only going to have 2 days off a year, that's fine as long as I'm doing it my way. But you know what I mean? And yeah, even in the jobs that I left, you know, people are like, well, can you stay like 3 days a week for a few months? And it's like, yes, I will complete this task. I will help you along. It's not like flaking. It's like we didn't stand up and walk out. We were just like, hey, can we change this? Oh no, we can't change it here. No, okay, well, I'm gonna go do it somewhere else. And people interpreted that as lazy. Remember, Gen X was lazy. Gen X isn't lazy. Gen X is, I'm going to do it my way. Just because we don't want to come sit and do it your way where you want it done, you think that's being lazy. No. We're not lazy. We're the opposite of lazy.
Right.
We just want to do it our way.
I'm going to find the drill and I'll drill my own goddamn well.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I know there's around here. I'm going to go find it because it's what I'm here to do.
Well, it's also because for everybody, it wasn't, I feel like it wasn't just so autonomous bubble to make my family that perfect family. So we do this so we have a good name. It was like, well, yeah, that's great and fine, but what about everybody else? Like there's these dogs their children. Shelli taught it in Compton as a kindergarten teacher within a very, it was more of a disenfranchised kind of like disadvantaged population for the most part economically, correct?
Socioeconomically, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Socioeconomically.
Great, wonderful families, wonderful dedicated parents, wonderful kids. They were growing up in the shadow of an oil refinery. Many of them had asthma because of it. But I really loved it there. And the kids were great. The parents were great. It was a cute little neighborhood. I mean, I think we get images in our mind that are unfair to communities.
Well, and that's because, right. And by you going and doing that, not being afraid of that image that maybe people would have had, like, oh, you're going to go to that neighborhood and teach at a public school. Why don't you stay at KPMG? That sounds so much better when I go to lunch with so-and-so that I can tell. That was not what the aim was. It was more of a collective, like who's been unattended to. Remember from last time we talked about the Neptune tending during Scorpio between those times of 1950 something and 1970 or no 19 I forget mid 60s tending to
the 71.
Right, tending to the unattended, and then Sagittarius coming in and bringing the stuff to the what needed to be attended to. And it wasn't just the nuclear family and the image ideal. It was like, well, yeah, I mean, I'm going to go take care. Why would you spend your time doing that? Because I have to. Why would you go teach there? Because I was given the opportunity and I really have that part of myself that I got to use there and take with me forever. It's like, I feel like people would do a good service to themselves being born in this generation to be like, you didn't do anything as a waste. You were just exploring all these multidimensional avenues that you have, and you start to finish. And that laziness of, oh, they don't see something through. Well, which is better? Would you like a bouquet of roses or some plastic flowers?
Yeah.
Which lasts longer? The plastic flowers. In fact, they last for a very long time.
You know what's funny is my grandmother, who was the silent generation, they called them, right? She used to say to my mom, I wish I had all the courage that Shelli has. If I had her courage, I would do all those things that she's doing, you know, when I moved to Los Angeles. And I remember when I quit my job at Pete Marwick, my grandma said, only Shelli would buy a new car, move across the country, and then quit her job.
Right?
So,
no, it's true.
Yeah.
So to finish that up with the chariot, which is what the thing is the chariot here, and my little quote is, it is such a mysterious place, the land of tears. That's the cutting of the tie between, it's like, it's what I think of it as, it's severing the that connection. It was like the separation. And you could look at that individually, but we'll look at it generationally right now. That separation, that cutting the cord of the old convention, the indigo. And I forgot to say this. We have Shelli here because Shelli is an embodiment of the indigo frequency very clearly. However, before, right in the middle, because at the end, because you got to see, because she's without the, like maybe like hype, like but that this is attention in different dimensions.
Yes.
The ADD, not necessarily the ADHD, which is the attention in different hyperdimensions, which came a little bit later in the generation, that influx of that stuff, but the ADD and the attention in different dimensions.
True
That,
multidimensional human being.
but
Trying
what
to-
happened, right? When did that explosion happen with people? This intentional by design, putting this frequency on the earth in mass in that way. To be able to have a grandmother say, if I had that courage, well, grandmom probably didn't, God bless her. And this has nothing to do with grandmom, but grandmom didn't have the capacity, didn't have like the corporeal, like energy vessel to hold that frequency. Whereas the indigo, this smack dab in the middle of Gen X, when they really, we have a living example of a very highly functional, successful indigo who is a complete kook, which is Shelli Brooks, but it's great kook. It's like that fun, she's a very good example of being like, of embodying it without knowing, because later in her life did she really come into validating that she does have a lot of extrasensory gifts that she kind of never realized were anything, that she just thought were because she was strange. But she wasn't strange, because there were so many other people that were having them, but it wasn't discussed. And the beauty of it is now is that we have all these kids that are being born and they are coming in as new humans, and this particular, let's say, energy collective of people within Gen X, the indigo, really has a very great understanding of
what's coming.
What's coming.
Well, and I'll tell you something else. Whenever we have a tendency to be like, okay, what, like, for example, my child is non-binary. And when they came out as non-binary, I went, okay. And people have interpreted Gen X as, okay, as apathy. It's not apathy. It's like, okay.
Mhm.
Like,
I can do that.
Okay.
Makes sense.
It's very much like, not that we're not invested in issues, but if it's not hurting anybody, generally speaking,
Mhm.
generally speaking, we're like, okay,
Mhm.
So I think that we got, I mean, not like a bad rap, because we are assholes, like truly. I mean, truly, we're assholes.
Yay! Hear that?
I don't know if we're even well-intentioned assholes. I think we're pure-hearted assholes. Is this it? We're pure-hearted assholes.
Spirited souls that the rest of the world can say are assholes. Or I'm not going to stand down. And
Right.
You can call me an asshole all you want, but I'm not going to stand down. I'm aligned with this. Every part of me knows that this is what is going on. And my intuition is telling me.
Or, good, I'm glad you think I'm an asshole, because I think you're an asshole, and that just validates me. Right? I feel very validated by your poor opinion of me, because I have a terrible opinion of you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Well, it's a lot of like those were the people that would go and tell somebody how it is.
Right.
And it's like, you just said all that stuff. Wow. How did you get the gumption to do that? I don't know. I just did.
We've talked about the difference between being nice and being kind.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I hope that I'm kind. I think I'm kind.
Very kind.
To, most of the time. Maybe not nice.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Not nice. Kind, not nice.
Well,
And,
kindness is a virtue and niceness is a non-virtue in my opinion on things.
right. But I think we had to get to our mid-30s before we were like, oh, it's okay to not be nice.
Mhm.
Right. Because the nice was a struggle, and we were very much like, no, it took us a while. We broke out of all of these expectations, but it took us a while to settle into, you know what? No, you're right. I'm not nice. But what have you done today lately to make the world a better place? I'll tell you what I did.
You stopped being nice. And the baby boomers and the silent generation were all packaged around whether you're okay or you're not okay, you smile and you put on this fake, persona and you act nice.
Remember Daria, when Daria's mom said, "Why didn't you smile in your school picture?" And she said, "I only smile if I have a reason to smile." Daria
from MTV was
from
a
MTV,
cartoon from
Daria. Gen X, yeah.
Gen X.
And then I gave birth to Daria.
Yes, you did. Yes, Camille is very Daria. I only smile if something makes me smile. Great. But at least there's an understanding. It's like, you know what? Makes sense.
Yeah, and then I'm like, okay.
Yeah, okay. And, I think that being the challenge for this generation, and you say if it's incorrect or if you don't agree with it, it's fine. But being a chariot is being both the enclosed, like say you have property and you have a big fence around the property. You're that fence, but you're also what's inside that fence. So let's just say you're the fence and the field. You're both. And it's hard to sometimes remember that you just are both and instead of either or. And I think there was a lot of pulling for this generation. You have to be either this or that. And right now, what I'm hearing so much from Shelli and how Denise, you've been anchoring this in really well, is that you can be both and it's not either or. Like you can be a person who has a convalescent center, very high end, old animal facility Shelli has her farm is basically the nicest like 55 plus community for animals in the world. Like they're all, I mean, her horses are, they all, one is just a retired Olympian, one is blind, God bless, but like is happy. They rebuild the barn to make it so that the one horse doesn't run into things. The chickens go to the doctor. They have ceremonies for the chickens that pass.
I tell you, I get a lot of, and I have even in rescue with it's not reasonable to put so many resources into one animal, right? I've gotten that over my time. It's like you put so many resources into this animal that you have when you could be helping so many others, and this one. And Jonna, my friend Jonna who passed, was like that. Like if she had an animal in her care, she did everything she could to make that animal okay, because her attitude and my attitude has always been, what has been put in front of me to be in my care is what I'm going to take care of to the best of my ability. Yeah. Right. If that means building a new barn and having a corneal transplant done on this one pony because she has been given to me by the universe, that's what I'm going to do. If that means I have to build a special kennel facility in Florida so I can have a dog that has OCD and anxiety, and build a facility for him so that he can live a peaceful existence, and buy a property for him so that I can exercise him, that's what I'm going to do, because that dog was brought into my universe. Mm-hmm. But I've we get criticism for that. You spend so much money and you give so many resources to this. I'm probably the only, I don't know.
Well, it's formative. It's formative.
I hired someone to take care of my baby so that I could take care of the animals. And people do not understand that. And I was like, compared to my animals, the baby is easy to take care of.
Absolutely. It really is. I don't know how you do it.
The baby ain't gonna bite nobody.
Yeah. Well, yet.
Yeah, until they get
that for sure, but there's a good hope.
Yeah. That's so great. And I think I don't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to say that formative generation, the polarities of having these two on the tail ends of kind of being a little bit more of that, like that really, what you're doing right there is having those things that you just explained. Everything that kept popping into my head was that's actually forming so that people can do what their actual humanity is meant to do and not be up behind the veil of conditioning and the veil of all this other stuff, because that's what humans are. Humans are magnificent. And this is like bringing up so much. Like, I am going to be a well and start crying in a second, as I always do. But like, that is what it is. Like, that's because this is here. It was brought into my universe, and I'm going to care for it because I love it. And there's nothing other than me being the fence and the field that I love this thing. And this is love me. And this is the embodiment. This is the expression, the embodiment and the expression of unconditional love that really has been brought through this indigo frequency. That, and unfortunately, a lot of it got, bamboozled a lot by the man, the patriarchy, the stuff that it was designed to dismantle, the stuff that now it's like, wow, you did that. And yeah, that actually is a really nice thing. And that creates a sacred space in the world that is good. That's all just good. There's nothing bad about it. It's not taking away from anything. It doesn't take away from, and if you had a child that you would have had spent the babysitter on the animals, you would have done that. It doesn't matter what the thing is. It doesn't matter what the attention goes, but the attention that it's so pure in this, that with that frequency, that indigo frequency, that pure intention, that pure and almost like really penetrative, sorry, that energy that just gets through and cuts through and then levels the field, and then just goes, well, if you're not going to do it, I mean, I'm not doing it your way, because your way, that's why you want me. But you want me to then give you the credit for something that I'm going to do, and I don't like your motives. And that sensing of the motives behind stuff with the indigo frequency, Denise, is this accurate? Maybe that is a big thing, is that them sensing the motives, but not necessarily knowing that they were sensing the motives. They're just feeling uncomfortable and rejecting it, being seen as resistant or oppositional, defiant, all this stuff. But really it was the sense. And now these conversations, like Shelli is giving us all this like real life living example of like looking at it now that you are actually intuiting all this stuff. Mm-hmm. It's I get like my full body is goosebumps. Like, that's what you were doing.
And Shelli, what you've been showing us throughout this entire episode and with your stories is that, and I love the Chariot card, because the Chariot is a card of movement. And it is also the 7, which is the master number, which is, it has information that comes from here. So if we're really moving forward, momentum, always going forward with love, with compassion, with caring for others, then that is the impetus, the core passion behind all of the no's. I don't care. You can stop critiquing me. You can do this, you can do that. And so what we do is we just sort of plow through as indigos all of these conditioned responses. Someone who's judging you for taking care of your animals over your children is in judgment. Boom. Someone who's doing this, boom. And so we're not hurting them. We're just pushing them aside and saying, we're going towards unconditional love. We're going towards compassion. We're going towards peaceful existence. And how I get there is going to look ugly, messy. I'm going to look like I'm wearing a lot of different hats, but I'm going to take us there.
Well, and just also to say, disclaimer wise, this woman takes really good care of their child, like really good care.
She does. I'm
just saying, because I mean, if you saw the animals, the animal stuff, you'd be like, that is why that occasionally someone had to, play with Camille in the yard while they, played, do whatever. But yes, very, very good care of anything.
And my sister, when I was having that struggle, when, I was kind of like starting to feel guilty about that, my sister said, it's really important for Camille to know that they're actually not the center of the universe. It's okay for kids to wait for you to take care of something else. Camille's an only child. So it was probably really good for Camille to wait for a minute and watch me take care of something else and then turn to them and go.
See how you prioritize and how they can step in, which I think is, I can do a whole conversation on another time on how we take all of our children's interests and passions away by not giving them opportunities to watch prioritizing, to see models of choices. So if we want to bring this in today and close it. If there's one concept that we talked about that we want to review, or something that we want to really hand back to those who are watching it and say, like, what is it that we learned ourselves or through this conversation? What would that be? Blank stares.
I always have something to say. I was just waiting.
I mean, I always like to say, when I would get anxious about taking on a project or taking on an animal or going into a situation that was like dicey sometimes, I always kind of, my guiding thought was, if you do the right thing, if you do what you know to be the right thing, it'll work out. You just have to follow that, right? Yeah. You just have to follow that. But if you're doing the right thing, most of the time, it's going to work out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what's in your highest good, what's in the highest good of the situation, it's going to work out. And that having that deep knowing out of, maybe no one said that to you, but you said that was like your guiding rein there. Just go do it. And that's critical, especially for people who are not knowing what to do with their kids, especially because right now the whole system of parenting kids is really kind of fallen off the other, meaning.
Well, let's talk about that next time.
I know, I'm leading into it. Let me finish my sentence. Good.
Sorry.
Fine.
I'm excited. No, I'm excited.
I want to bring something full circle, and you have it, you're written in the mind. So now, being that I am pretty good at adapting, because somebody has taught me how to be a good adapter in things and not get nervous and not be, oh, I'm so sorry, Denise. So I'm doing exactly what Denise has taught me how to do, is just keeping talking and not apologizing for interrupting and being interrupted by my revered human that I love more than anything, as a guide and wisdom teacher, that, doing that, hearing this from Shelli, hearing, from the parenting, coaching, and work that you do, Denise, this is like really great ways to really break out in a really fast way for people to look at their past and be like, wow, that was actually really useful. I didn't just waste my time. I did really good things. All that stuff, all my fuck ups, good. Like all my stuff that people laughed at me for and I felt like shit about, good. Like, it's amazing wisdom gathering. Thank you.
It's perfect. And then you just took my answer right off of me, which was, here I am in my 60s, and I have made so many random, passionate jumps. I got to do this. I'm going there. And when I'm looking back and going, it's all wisdom driven and it's skill building, or it's, there was never anything wrong with that choice. It might have been uncomfortable. I might have flailed around a lot. I might have even second guessed myself, what am I going to do now that this is getting bigger or whatever? And then realizing that it's all just been this sequence of steps of getting me to where I am, getting each of us to where we are. And that what I loved about this episode, Shelli, is that you showed us how to follow that passion, and how to, and Ashley bringing in the cards with the well, and just knowing that when you go towards your passion, there's a gift, and that these things come along and they show you how to step into our masteries, and how to celebrate them, and how to be assholes while we're doing it.
Up for not knowing what your passion is. Don't beat yourself up for not finding it. I mean, people in their 20s and 30s, I have, believe it or not, I have friends in their 20s and early 30s, and I could see them beating themselves up for not finding what it is. And I beat myself up and I'm wasting my life. Oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm flailing. I mean, it's hard to tell someone to go easy on themselves, but truly just wait for it. Mm-hmm. Wait for it. Keep living your life, but wait for it. It will come. We were encouraged. No, you got to know what you're going to do. But it's okay to not know what you're going to do.
Generation of mine and the olders is you have to have a plan. You have to get the gold watch. You got to go do this. So we just take our steps and we wait for it, and we let things fall in. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Yeah. I love this. This was wonderful.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. I feel like I've gone to some place that was to become better at development or something. Thank you, ladies.
Love it. So if you like this and we want Shelli back, you know, put some comments down in the comment section, subscribe, like it, do whatever you need to do so that we can keep having these conversations and bringing them to you. And thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.